Hi, and welcome to another episode of FPL Fanzone. My name's Nick, and in today's episode we're going to look at my latest draft 1 week before the game week 1 deadline. We'll look at the structure that I've got in place, the flexibility that allows me to move between the different price points, and having some money in the bank to allow me to switch depending on how people start the season. If you do like this video, please don't forget to click like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. So without further ado, let's look who I've got. So as you can see here, I've got $2.5 million in the bank, which gives me huge amounts of flexibility to play around with this team before the start of the season. But also, if the season starts, if there's any price ranges, I've got money to spare, and I can move on to the correct premium, knowing which one starts the season well. So let's have a look who's in the team. In goal, I've got Flecken from Brentford. He was the highest scoring 4.5 million goalkeeper last season, so he's an easy to just set and forget, leave him in there and wait for the clean sheets to come. In defence, I've got Saliba, Robertson and Vardiol. Now Saliba could be Gabriel if I wanted a little bit more attacking threat, but I just think Saliba has the guaranteed minutes at the moment, especially with the new signing at Calafiori. With Robertson, he's a huge differential at only 5.6% owned at time of recording, which means that he's a differential against Trent Alexander-Arnold and $1 million cheaper. And then Gvardiol really kicked on at the back end of last season, had a real attacking role from the defence. And while he may not start that way for Man City with waiting for a few of the players to come back from international duty, I think that he's just a set and forget, and hopefully we see those attacking returns as he starts to move forward. Moving on to midfield, I've got Saka, De Bruyne, Gordon, Eze and Bailey. Now this midfield gives me huge amounts of options to move. Saka is at 10 million, could be Cole Palmer at 10.5, it could be Son at 10, it could be Foden at 9.5, so there's lots of flexibility to move, especially with the money in the bank. And with the extra 2.5 million, I can move straight to Salah if he does start to score goals very early and people want to jump on him. Next up, I've got De Bruyne. Personally, I would prefer Foden, but knowing that De Bruyne got minutes in the Community Shield and Foden didn't, means he's more likely to start in game week 1. But again, does allow me that option to move between the other premiums at that range, or drop down to maybe an Odegaard or a Bruno Fernandes if I need to. Gordon is a great value at 7.5 million, and this allows me again to switch to someone like a Jared Bowen if he starts the season really well. He just recently came back and played in the pre-season yesterday and scored a goal, so really excited to see him. Again, Newcastle have been very, very attacking in pre-season. Eze is the talisman there for Crystal Palace. I think he's been nailed in my team since day one at 7 million. I think he's just a little bit too cheap, which is why he's there for the value. And then lastly, at 6.5 million here, I've seen a lot of people go for Nkunku, and of course Nkunku will be playing as the number 9 for Chelsea. But Chelsea have looked really poor pre-season, and Nkunku has scored 4 goals, but 2 of them were penalties, and he's not going to be getting penalties when Palmer is back. I think Bailey had a standout season last year, and with Diaby leaving, he's going to get more minutes. So if that continues in the form that he had last year, I think he could really be a star for this season at 6.5 million. And again, with that 2.5 million in the bank, it does allow me to move anywhere. So I could move Bailey up to, a Bruno Fernandes if I need to. I can move Gordon to any of the 10 millions. So there's just lots of flexibility there if I need to move on to the correct asset very quickly. And then up front, I've got Kai Havertz and Isak. Now Havertz has been moved to a forward position, so obviously got to take into consideration that a lot of the points that he got last year will be less because he won't get the clean sheets, he won't get the extra point for the goal, being a midfielder as he was last year. But watching him in pre-season, he's looked really sharp, he's getting assists, he's getting goals, and I think he's the nailed on number 9 for Arsenal this year. So really looking forward to take advantage of him in those first couple of weeks, especially against the likes of Wolves and Brentford. And then last but not least is Isak. I think someone who's just been in my draft ever since K1, ever since draft 1. He's not left the team at any point. I just think that he's going to be the nailed number 9 for Newcastle this season, with Wilson no longer sort of really in the running to take his spot. So I just think that he's going to kick on from last year and get even more points. On my subs bench, I've got Valdemarsen, so just a backup for Flecken. So if Flecken isn't playing for whatever reason, Valdemarsen will come on, and at 4.0, it just covers my options. I've got Muniz, who can drop in and switch with Bailey. So it just allows me that flexibility to switch easy games. They rotate quite nicely on there as well. And then at the back, I've got Barco and Johnson, two 4.0s, which will be nailed in their teams for minutes, but really only come on if I get injuries for that as well. So as I said, with this particular team, there's a huge amount of flexibility in all of the positions to move to other key players, depending on who starts the season well. But looking overall, it's a really well-rounded started team. So let's look at what some of those options are moving forward. So here's how my team looks on the Fantasy Football Hub My Team tool. And as you can see, I've got a 95% rating for game week 1 and a predicted points of 68, which I'd be very, very happy with to start the season. Having 2.5 million in the bank gives me a huge amount of flexibility to play around with this team and jump on those early price raises and move. So for example, if I took out Saka and started with Salah and used my full budget straight away, if I needed to move anywhere, I've got no money in the bank, and I'd probably need to downgrade Salah in order to make another move to upgrade someone else. So it's going to cost me 2 transfers and -4 straight off the bat. So by starting with Saka, it allows me to have that flexibility to move in and around the team. I can go from Robertson to Trent Alexander-Arnold. I can go from Havertz to Watkins. I can move any of my defenders down. It just gives me a huge amount of availability here. If I move out Bailey, I can move to Nkunku, I can move to Bowen, I can move to Bruno Fernandes. If I take out Gordon, it allows me to go to Son, for example, and bring in another premium defender. So there's just lots of opportunities here to have a really solid team. The only one that gives me any real challenge here is getting to Haaland. But I've just worked out that having Haaland in the team is too much of a sacrifice. So my plan right now is to not have Haaland for the start of the season, because the 6 million gap is just a little bit too much for me in terms of sacrifices across other parts of the team. So there it is, a 95% team rating, predicted points of 68, and flexibility to move anywhere within this squad apart from Haaland, which may take 2 or 3 moves if I needed to get there. But if that was the case and he was really kicking off, I've probably already missed the boat, but I could always do an early wildcard in game week 4, for example, to move on. So there we go. That's what my team looks like. Now, of course, there is still 1 week to go and a little bit more information to come from a few pre-season games before we make our final choices. But tell me in the comments below, do you like this team? Do you like the structure? Would you just start with Salah and then hope that he gets more points than Saka? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know who's in your starting team, and I look forward to catching up with you soon. Once again, guys and girls, thank you very much for watching FPL Fanzone. If you did like this or got any value from this content, please do like and subscribe. It means a huge amount for the channel. And leave any comments below if you think I've missed out on anyone. I'll see you in the next episode.